Hi, I'm Lino, Ettia. This is my story about entertaining the aged care sector. I started breakdancing basically in 1981, 82. That was the beginning of my entertainment beginnings. And, the big craze came from America, as everybody knows, with Molly Meldrum. And then Molly came back to Australia and called rap dancing. So that's what we knew it as. Hit the City Square, Melbourne, back in the days, in front of Central Station Records. And then we started dancing and basically formed a group called Energy Transfer and got a manager on top of that. And then we hit our first television show on Hey Hey Saturday. Did a special performance there and then moved on to Young Talent Time. And then we did the Logie Awards. We've done a lot of shows around television. The movie Breakdance came out, and from there, myself and my partner Eugene got picked to represent Melbourne in going out and promoting the movie with the actual stars of the movie. Breakdancing was dying out, and then I formed a band called Wild Style, and that was 4 people in front and 4 musicians. So we continued to dancing alongside with my cousin Marie and my wife Francoise. Took it across to Asia, went to Hong Kong, and then we went to Jakarta at Hard Rock Cafe. Continued the band going overseas for about good, 20 odd years, probably a bit more, and performed on Royal Caribbean Cruise Line as for about 8 years. We thought it was time to come home because parents are getting older, and we thought if something happens on a ship, how do you get off? We came home, and that's what started making my mind think, I want to entertain. And then basically I just thought, we're talking about aged care. I actually went over to a friend's house and I was talking to him about it, and basically he said, why don't you approach the aged care and just tell them about yourself and your shows. I spoke to Ettia aged care, and they said, yeah, come in, let's try it out and see how it goes. So then I put a show together, a 50s and 60s show, which I perform now right through the whole week. And it's fantastic. My show starts off with, warm them up with a little, slow song. I tend to do like Everly Brothers. All I have to do is dream. I warm them up a little bit. They start singing. And then we get into it with Bye Bye Love. And then it comes into, Garden Party, Ricky Nelson. And then we shoot it up again with That'll Be the Day by Buddy Holly. There's one where I get them all involved because my show, what I do with them is I make them they don't realise that they're doing movement as exercise. So basically in my show they're waving their arms, I get them to wave their arms, they play instruments, they sing, and then I do this song called the Hokey Pokey. And believe it or not, they love it. So we've got all the staff in front, the residents are there, and as soon as I say put your right hand, they go. And they start doing the whole thing and they sing it out loud. So for me, those sort of songs that I do, they get it because these are the songs that they grew up with. So I stick more to the 50s and 60s, and sometimes at the end of the show, I'll throw in Hey Baby. It's a more party song. So that becomes more for the staff and the residents. Today I ended up playing It's Now or Never by Elvis Presley twice because they even write little songs on a little sheet, and they go to the carers. Can you give it to him? So, like their request. They are our mothers and fathers. We're going to get there, and just to give back and for what they did for us when we were kids, bringing us up, just to see that and their smiles and was amazing. Some of them, they even come up and they touch the glass. They touch the glass like as if I'm in the room. So I just put my hands on the glass and wave to them. So. From one aged care, she got on the phone, rang the other aged care and said, you got to get him, So it just came on like that. It's just one of the best things in my whole career that I've done. It made me a better person, a better entertainer, and you're not just there just singing and performing, you're doing it for people and getting them happy. That's what really, encouraged me, and I don't want to stop. When we were young kids, we really were into a lot of music because at home, Dad's a musician. Dad was a musician. So his whole family, sisters, brothers, they were in a big band, like a family band. And they played in Mauritius. And then when we came out here, Dad came here in about, I think it was, would have been 1969. Dad came here, and then I arrived here in 1970, and Dad was playing everywhere, but I was too small. So basically, were very influenced off Dad. He liked Latin, he liked 50, we grew up with 50s and 60s in the house. So pretty wide range of music, and that was my influence with music, which got me into dancing and into Prince, which, I love. But, in our show we do like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, so basically we've got a wide range, a big repertoire. I perform at least three aged cares, 3 to 2 aged cares a day, Monday to Friday. And then on the weekends is when I perform with my partner, and we do Friday nights, Saturdays and Sunday arvos. We do a duo and a trio. With the trio's with my dad, and he's 85 and he plays congas. Then we've got the duo night where we play a lot of RSLs, and also I do morning melody shows in between my aged care shows during the day. So when I get booked for that, I'm rushing from one place from an RSL straight to an aged care. Just going through this whole COVID time and just watching, especially our aged care, the sector, just watching them, how you couldn't go in, they were stuck inside, due to safetiness for themselves. So they really lost that part of us going in to give them something where they're happy. It's music, it's therapy for them, and it just it broke my heart. Actually, it really broke my heart, and I just thought, I have to do something. There has to be a way. Which luckily these days we've got internet, right? So then we did. I was working out Zoom. I was working out Skype. So I'd be in touch with the aged cares, and at that time they weren't doing no entertainment because that was the least of their problem, to worry about entertainment with what was happening. But eventually they said, look, believe it or not, the carers are going, I think the actual residents are sick and tired of our voices because we're not entertainers and we're trying to sing. I've worked out Zoom, I've worked out Skype, so let's try over the internet and see what happens. So that took a little while because it was like, it's all internet and or computers, so it was taking a while to get that right into the way to do it on big televisions. And some of them were putting it together where it goes into their rooms, because a lot of them, as you know, we had that everybody couldn't be together, so it was all spaced out. So eventually we worked it out, and then we did a Zoom, we did that, and it was very different because I was actually playing like to a camera, not to them, but I could see them. And just to see their faces, like I wasn't even in the actual room, like it was just amazing, like they were smiling, they were playing, they were, some of them were dancing, and it was just like, it just gave them a bit of life. Normally I go out, when I'm there, I go out to them, I sing with them, we dance around, and it's just a fantastic show that's all about them, and that's what I missed. And just to see that on their faces, it's just amazing. A lot of the aged cares are allowed to have entertainment back, but they're still not going to have like family inside for Christmas, which we used to hold big parties there. So basically it's going to be myself in the actual room with the residents spaced out. While I'm performing, they bring out food for them, and normally we have to wear our face mask here, and then we've got our face masks that go like that, that's on it. So basically when I come to set up in this area, right, walking through the actual aged care, I've got this on. Just with speaking to the actual workers and that, like they've had a hard time, and just to try and work things out so we can do things for the residents, for our most vulnerable, just to give them a proper Christmas, to let them know that, we're there to care for them. They've been working off their feet right through, and you can see it in their faces. Like I speak to them every day, and they're just like, Lino, we're so tired, but they've still got the energy and the positivity to say, no, you know what? We have to do it. We're their family. We're the only ones in their family, you know what I mean? Today it's a new day. It's a new way now of life that we live in. And basically to be able to, do these things and get in there and touch them, I think that's made it an easier job on the actual workers there. I really give it up to the actual workers. I really give it up to them for what they've been through and what they've done. And now, luckily, we can help them and support them and put a bit of happiness in life and music, because music is a strong thing. It's a strong thing. Music talks. Music, to each individual, it means something. I think the aged cares have done it right, because they come in with all the your protection, make sure that the residents are fine, we're fine. On the other side, where the residents are, like they're not wearing masks. They're okay because they're in protection. Like the staff have got all their PPE on, and I've got mine. But when I perform, because I'm on the outside, I can take off my mask and sing. Today I'm live from Clifton Hill, TLC, one of their aged cares. And I've done Clifton Hill Views before, and today was my show at 2 o'clock to 3, and fantastic. As I said, I'm playing on the other side on a balcony. We're all going to get there. We are all going to get there. So if someone can do it for me, what I'm doing for them, I'll be so happy.